Okay, let's get started. So, hey, I'm Dr. Stephanie, and if you're new to my channel and you have no idea why you're here, hopefully it was a title that drew your attention. Because if you've been thinking about it, it's time to do it. It's your turn and your time. And so, if this is your first time here, welcome to the channel. If you're new here, welcome to the channel and you've watched a few videos. But guess what? I'm new here too. So, I'm just creating this channel to kind of be a voice for women over 40 who are ready to pivot in some really key areas in their lives. Right now, I'm talking about how to pivot in your career, but I'm going to absolutely talk about how to pivot in your relationships, how to pivot in how much energy you give to your community, how to pivot when you don't want to be a parent to your grown children and you don't want to be a full-time grandmom to your grandchildren, because the second half of your life, it belongs to you. You've earned it. Beautiful lady over 40, you've given the first half of your life away to roles and responsibilities, and absolutely they were rewarding. But now it's time to give that energy back to you. And the reason why I'm saying that is because women over 40, we get kind of stuck in a rut of what we think our expectations should be, how other people see us, those expectations, and how we see ourselves. If you don't stop to pivot or stop to think about pivoting, you will be consistently on a hamster wheel to spiritual, emotional, and physical destruction that will eventually lead to your demise. And that unalive word, I've watched enough videos not to say it. So this video is about giving you I want to give you the permission to entertain those thoughts that you've been having about what you think you want to do with your life. Like, I'm 49, what do I do with myself? I'm 52, what do I do with myself? I'm 61, what do I do with myself? Well, the short answer is anything you want. So basically, this video is giving you permission, and the permission is simple. If you've been thinking about doing something, and you've been thinking about it, and you've been thinking about it, and you've been thinking about it, but you haven't done it, the question becomes why? You forget that this is your life. You get to carve out and etch out your corner of how it's supposed to look or how you want it to look for you on your terms. Unfortunately, in our generations, I grew up in the late 60s. Well, no, I was born in the late 60s. I grew up in the 70s. I started feeling myself in the 80s. By the time I was in the 90s, I was a mom. The 2000s, I was pivoting career. Now we're here at 2025, and I'm here saying, I've been through some things. And I see that there's a lot of women in their 40s and above, and you're not feeling your best. You don't have any answers. And so here's the truth. I've been through enough stuff to have some answers for all of us. And I say that humbly because I know you've been through some stuff too. And so I want you to understand right here and right now that everything that you've ever gone through has brought you to this moment. And that's why you're watching this video. Because if you've been thinking about making a change, it's because you're ready to make the change. You're ready to pivot. You probably just don't know how to do it. And so I'm going to give you some insight on how to do it. I'll tell you a story about how I decided I needed to pivot. If you've watched any of my other videos, because I'm scheduling them and they're popping out as I feel them. Like I create videos and I go, oh, that was a great video. And then I go, oh, but my spirit says it's not time for that one yet. So I might reference a video that you haven't even seen yet, but they've already been recorded because I'm committed to being consistent and having this conversation with you. Because again, women over 40, we're sandwiched between this reality that we're just about on the brink of menopause. And as long as everybody can lump everything that we're going through into menopause or that midlife experience, nobody really wants to deal with or talk about the really deep things that we need to resolve. And so when your spirit is starting to give you inclinations and you're thinking about something all the time, what that is telling you is your spirit is saying it's time to make a change. So if you've been thinking about writing a book, that means it's time to tell your story. It's time to pivot. If you've been ruminating about, getting your health together, that means it's time to get your health together. If you need help with that, I'm a naturopath. I can help you, because getting your health together is not as simple as just going to the gym and starting to eat broccoli, kale, and cabbage. No, that's not it. And please don't start taking sea moss just because you heard somebody that said that they heard somebody that was good. Don't do that, because that can cause problems in your health generally. So that was my little caveat as a naturopath. If you've been hearing that it's time for you to change relationships, then it's time. So I guess this video is about procrastination. And if you're hearing the word in various ways, the intention of taking action, and you're not taking action, that's your spirit telling you that it's something that you need to do. It's telling you what it is. You have to settle into that, especially if it's time to pivot careers. The first half of our life as women, what we did? We chose the career that was going to get us the most money. I mean, I'm just being honest. So, before I could even really talk, I heard the word doctor. Because I believe in my family, people thought if you're a doctor, you're gonna have you got some bank. And I'm sure that is true on various levels, depending on your specialty. But also, it was because we grew up in a generation where our parents would aspire for us to be better than what they were. And so my mom tagged on the word doctor to me. So I even had doctors' Halloween costumes. I remember my miniature stethoscope, my little surgeon's cap. I remember all that stuff. So I carved out the reality of being Dr. Stephanie in a different way, because I realized that I don't want to be what you thought you wanted me to be, because maybe it validated our family structure or broke a generational curse. Or so I had to be rebellious, and I had to become a naturopath. Like, what is a naturopath? I'll tell you about that in another video. But I heard the call that I was supposed to heal and serve. I didn't always know what that was supposed to look like. So what happens is, when you start hearing this deep, gentle, sometimes unnerving unction or voice in your head or feeling in your heart to pivot, that means it's time, right? And a lot of times you're going to be going against the grain of what people thought you coulda, woulda, shoulda did, and you might get resistance in your pivot. You've been, I don't know, you've been an accountant your whole life, and now you just pop up and say, you know what? I think I want to support people in third world countries and teach them math. People are like, what are you talking about? If you have those off the wall ideas, that is a telltale sign that the universe, God, the Holy Spirit himself, is trying to tell you something. And how do you get that something from your head into your heart? You start paying attention to that feeling. Pay attention to it. When it's time to pivot, you'll start feeling something different. It'll be a burning desire to learn something new. It will be the thing that you start to kind of obsess over. You might start getting books randomly about the topic. I remember when I pivoted out of property management, as I was on this journey to become Dr. Stephanie, I went to go visit a cousin who was I don't like to use that word battle. She was in a space of breast cancer was winning. Let's just leave it there. And I instinctively, besides hugging and kissing all over because I loved her so much, I instinctively started rubbing her legs. And I instinctively knew to rub her legs toward her heart, so her lymph system can start being moved, so her lymphatic system could open up. Now, educationally, I only had a brief understanding of that in exercise physiology in college, and we were taught to move the swelling off the ankles. So I would tape people's ankles and athletes and stuff. We did sports medicine. But when I got to my cousin, I instinctively started doing things that I didn't even know that I was doing correctly. And I'm moving the lymph up her leg. And she said to me all of a sudden, she says, "Oh, cousin, that feels so good." And when she said that, I felt like, wow, I am impacting her in a way that I didn't even realize I was doing. And she said, "Do you know that I get a treatment called lymphedema? And I have someone come to the house and they move the lymph through my body so my skin won't be so tight and so I won't be in so much pain." And I said, "No, I didn't know that." And I just kept doing it. And she kind of fell asleep with a smile on her face. And a couple of days later, my aunt called me and she says, "Thank you so much for what you did, because that allowed her to relax. She was afraid to let go. And she was so relaxed and had a good night's sleep. When I woke up, she had passed away in my arms. And that was a very sacred but gentle experience for both of us. Thank you so much." And I just put my head in my hands and I'm like, whoa, that was deep. I didn't know that that was my pivot moment. And so what started happening was real creepy. Every time I would turn on the TV, there was this commercial to say, "If you have the healing touch and you want to be able to serve your community and help people in all walks of life through therapeutic massage, call Baltimore School of Massage today." And I'm like, oh, okay. But I kept seeing the dang commercial like 3 or 4 times a day. And finally, I absolutely called the number and I said, "This must be for me because I've been thinking about this and it's been haunting me for like 6 months. How do I start?" So after having a bachelor's degree in exercise physiology, I went back to school and became a licensed massage therapist. In the massage therapy space, I started learning more about naturopathy and traditional Chinese medicine. And then I started to feel that tug on my heart to go higher in this calling of service and healing. Then it pivoted into me graduating from naturopathy school at the same time. See, this is a whole nother story. While I was getting my ND PhD degree, I felt ill equipped. See, that's a limiting belief right there. I felt ill equipped to work with women because I felt like I needed to know what do you call it? The trajectory or the path of development in the human body. So while I was still like a year and a half to finish my ND PhD degree, I went to a totally different school and enrolled in a master's program. Now you must be thinking, you must be crazy, but check it out. I kept being pulled to understand the continuum of aging. And I didn't feel quite equipped to understand it without really studying it. And I figured, well, I'm going to be working with people. I'm going to be working with people's health. It's part of the curriculum for me to understand the trajectory of healing and wellness from birth to the unalive experience. And so I really did do 2 major degrees at the same time. And I did. My computer almost took a hit, right? I almost just threw it outside, but I didn't. I'm still here. I got past that moment. But the point is, when you're called to do something and it haunts you, you're going to be taking radical moves to get to that goal. And your spirit will tell you when you've reached it. But your spirit will only be effective in telling you when you reached it to the degree of your limiting belief. Now, why did I say that? Because by the time I started my actual practice, it's called Your Healing Place. I had 3 offices, right? 2 simultaneously. And when I had to move from one office to a bigger space and then a bigger space to a second space. When I got to really being in the throes of Dr. Stephanie in a real office with real people, I still felt inadequate. Now, let's do the math, shall we? Bachelor's degree in exercise physiology, master's degree in gerontology, licensed massage therapist, ND in natural medicine, PhD in natural wellness. And I'm a certified coach. Now, I wasn't a certified coach until about 3 years ago, 4 years ago. But the point is, I had this office and I still felt ill equipped to serve. Now, was that reality? No, but it was my limiting belief. And that limiting belief is the point of reference to why we all start to try to pivot. Sometimes we pivot because we feel as though we're overwhelmed by what we're doing and we want to do something else. But the truth is, you can't be successful in that pivot unless you've learned everything you needed to know in the moment and the space that you are right now. So even though you might have a call to do something else, the wisdom says make sure that you squeezed all of the juice out of the experience that you're having right now, because that new information, that new wisdom is what's going to propel you to the next level. And that's when the pivot is real good. So I had all of these experiences of, pivoting several times because I was trying to find myself, right? As women in our 40s, we find ourselves in different ways, We're the high school prom queen, and then we get married, and then we're the mom, and then we find ourselves being servant leaders in our community, in our churches, and then we come the grandmom, and then we have to start paying attention to what's happening with our elder aging parents. There's a lot of roles that we play. There's a lot of pivots that we do. But the most significant pivot, ladies, that I want to tell you that you must do is to listen to the wisdom, the voice, your heart of hearts, your internal beacon, your Holy Spirit, your guiding light, your intuitive self, and let it speak to you to give you a hint of your next move, because that means it is time to move. But you have to use the discernment to know that it's time to move in its perfect timing. I knew I wanted to be Dr. Stephanie my whole life, but circumstance and timing had to mold the transition out of various doors of development, various doors of understanding, various doors of pain and suffering, to be able to extract the wisdom to know when I stepped into that next pivot, I was ready. Because the last thing I want you to do is want to pivot because you're frustrated where you are and you jump out of the frying pan into the fire. Now, you've done that all 5 times already, because I could count on I probably did it about, I don't even have enough hands to count. At the end of the day, pivoting is a call, but allow the call to be aligned with the version of yourself that brings you joy, that brings you peace, that makes you feel love and excitement about getting up every day, that makes you feel comfortable with your gray hair and your old fashioned pearls with a t-shirt, trying to blend the old with the new. That's how we do, right? We're trying to find our style, our niche, our thing. So if you want to pivot, I hope these insights that I've given you have helped you. But if you want to be a coach, also recognize that this is the work that you need to do in order to serve and support someone else. Because the first half of your life you've given to roles and responsibilities, other people, places, and things. And guess what? You probably was not even on your list of prioritization. And that is a word. The second half of your life, you get to carve out the way you want it to look based on the vision that you had when you were that teenage girl who was full of possibility. So now you get to do things on your terms, without apology, without guilt. Because the second half of your life should not be just dedicated to your aches and pains. It should be dedicated into fulfilling the purpose in which God gave you breath. He gave you breath to do something magnificent, and that magnificent thing is tied to the gifts and talents that may be untapped right now. But now that you have the unction to pivot, recognize that the pivot is to be pivoting into your gifts. Aha! Pivoting into the things that feel easy and finding a creative way to deliver it to the world. So that's why I've created this channel for you. Because coaching is not glamorous, ladies. You're going to hear me say that. Being coached is not glamorous. Giving coaching is not glamorous, but dagnabbit is rewarding on both sides. Because if you have a coach, then you're able to pivot with precision, pivot with power, or else why pivot? And if you are a coach, then that's a telltale sign that when you facilitate somebody's pivoting in a healthy way, spirit, mind, and body, the way I do at your healing place, then you are living out what you were given breath for. You were walking in your purpose. And isn't that at the end of that all that's what we feel happy about? That is our sweet spot of living, when you've made that shift and say, okay, this is the second half of my life. So if you like this video, again, this is a new channel and I'm dedicating it to you, beautiful lady, 40 and over. Please like, subscribe, and share. Share. I have a lot of things that I need to share. And these things that I'm sharing are coming from the years, the 20 years of experience that I had being a naturopath for women over 40. I see the tears, the fears, the cries, the screams, the hurts, but I also see the elevation. I see the healing. I see the health. I see the wealth. I see businesses grow with women are healthy. And so that's what this channel is about. So I am giving my first international retreat in the Dominican Republic on March the 12th to the 16th. It's all inclusive, ladies, so I can't wait to meet you in person. I do have an audience from my practice, women that I've been serving around the globe for years, but now this is my new family. And so welcome to the new family. Yeah, this has been fun. So until next time, again, like, subscribe, share, click the ding ding button, and comment. If you want to have a video, you want me to create a video about something that's important to you, then let me know and I'll create a video. But I do have a list of topics and specific playlists that I'm going to dump into. But this is absolutely for you, because it was time for me to take another pivot. My goal is to have this channel go viral so we can reach women all over the globe. And guess what? I need your help, because as you are stepping into your pivot, you start to become part of the collective that's helping people globally elevate to their purpose. If we're not serving humanity, then what are we doing? So I'm not going to talk anymore. Until next time, be well.